Hi everyone. So we have gone through the various steps of the research design, research methodology, selecting the problem, followed by setting your hypothesis, testing your hypothesis, then by deciding your research design method, and then we have discussed the method of samplings, how to take out the samples, how you should decide that what sample you should take out of the various methods that will be suit best for your research work. Now once you have taken your samples, the important part is conducting your research work. Now you want to conduct your research work and you want to collect the data, information related to your project, related to your research study. This collecting of the data is further divided into two parts. If you are personally becoming a part of data and you are trying to fetch out the data out of it, that means your own work, that is known as a primary source of data collection. And if you want to take out the gist out of the work that others have done already, that is called a secondary data collection method. So yes, now we will discuss about the data collection methods, what do you mean by data, and data collection methods in detail in this lecture. So we will start with that part. Again I will repeat, we have completed till the part of selecting the samples for your experimental setup for testing your hypothesis. Now this lecture is related to the further part, that is related to data collection. How you will collect the data? Once you have selected your samples, it's okay. Now further part is to collect your data. How you can collect it, what are the various forms, that we will learn in this lecture. Okay. So these are our learning objectives. The objectives consisting of meaning of data, understand the sources of data, primary source of data, secondary source of data, how to read the data, and how to prepare the gap analysis chart. So data are facts. These are the relevant materials serving as basis or a raw material for study and analysis. It becomes the base for your study work. It forms the basis for testing the hypothesis. It becomes the basis for testing your assumptions formulated in the study. It also provides the fact and figures required for data interpretation and representation. It search for the answer to the question is called in collection of data. Again I will repeat, it is the answer to the research questions. Without analyzing of factual data, no specific inference can be drawn on the question under study, which simply means that until and unless you take out some information, you cannot justify your facts and figures. Now we will move ahead and we will discuss the two parts of data that are called as the sources of data. Primary source of data, so original source from which the researcher directly collects data that have not been previously collected. The researcher can collect them when he wants in the way, thus has better control over it. When the secondary data is not sufficient, secondary means the work that is done by other is not sufficient, inappropriate or obsolete, it is very old, primary data needs to be collected. This method is also part of case study method as it is concerned with the first-hand data collection. Various type of primary data can be socio-economic survey, it can be socio-anthropological, leadership, marketing, attitude, knowledge awareness, organizational study, etc. So the primary source of data in simple word is looking towards the thing which is not previously studied for the scope of your research work. Now primary source of data methods can be, it can be judged by observation, if you are standing somewhere, you are doing the road traffic study and you want to study the accident road rate. If you want to study the intersection, if you want to study the speed, so you go over a particular road section at any intersection and you carry out your study. It can be by interviewing with whom? With the people that are related to your research work, which can be the part of your experimental setup, that means the samples. It can be done by the mail survey method. It is a e-mode of process. It is some of the latest method in which the response of the respondents are taken in a very fast mode through the e-communication. It can be experimentation setup. It can be by the process of simulation. Simulation is a process of developing something depending upon the actual conditions and then subjecting to the same conditions on the experimental setup and then taking the reading. It can be related to the projective techniques. So these are some of the methods of primary source of data collection. We will discuss some of these methods also. Now we will discuss the second major part of data collection, which is called as secondary sources of data. It consists of readily accompanied and already compiled statistical statements and reports whose data may be used by researcher for their studies. Say for example census, it can be taken as a part of your study, so it is a statistical data statement or report. It even consists of unpublished data like registers and record maintained by firm, financial records, personal file, minutes of meeting, etc. The researcher has no control over collection and classification since it is dependent upon the work which is done by others earlier. So the researcher has no control over what should be collected and what should not be collected, because the data which you are getting, it means the researcher is getting, is not necessary will be in the same way as it is expected by the researcher. Some of the example are census record, annual records, government reports, annual reports, research papers, survey reports, newspaper, advertisements, existing report and research. These are the some of the sources of secondary data. Many of the time people just have a mindset that the secondary source of data means some of the books and the research papers. No, it is not necessary. There are various types of secondary source of data. As I have mentioned, it can be newspaper, it can be advertisement, it can be TV telecast advertisements, it can be any of the program, it can be any of the other research activity. So anything which is being done by others and now you are considering it so as to gain some benefit in your own research work, to learn from their work. Now the question is secondary data, why to use it? Because it is available quickly and cheaply. It has wider coverage. Many of the people's, hundreds of the minds are doing 100 different things, and thus the coverage area of the topic is very bigger enough as compared to an individual's mindset. So yes, when you refer the work done by 100 of the people, you get exposure to the different ideas, you get exposure to the different ways of conducting it, you get the idea how successfully you can carry your project as others did it. And even you can find the gap that what others did and what is yet remaining that is required but is not done till now. It helps to verify primary source of data and it is ready available. What are the limitations of secondary source of data? It is fact that the research cannot be work done already, and thus the secondary does not meet specific need. It means that your research work should be unique, it should not be of repetitive nature. So when you want to do your research work to be very unique, it means that the data which we are collecting is not very specific. Of course, it will not match with the work that you are doing, but it will be related to your work. The data availability and accuracy depends upon the analysis done by principal author and work, and thus accuracy is always under some question. it means that whatever the data or the literatures you are referring, it is the work done by some other individual. That particular individual, how that he or she has conducted, what factors they have considered, on what basis they have concluded, everything should be based on the facts, and it should not be individual's biased decision. Thus, the credibility of the person from whose data you are referring is very important. The data like census are taken every 10 years, and thus at the time of research the data may not be latest or may be obsolete. So this is one of the limitation. Suppose if you want to carry out research in some midpoint of the decade, and at that time when you want to search for the trustworthy data, you carry the document from the census record, and from the census record you can see that that census is carried at the gap of 10 years. So the data is not accurate. Now, how to read your data? Context, you should check the context of your data. Physical, it is social, psychological situation in which communication even occurs. Semantics method, semantics finding, it means its relation between the work and meaning we attach to them. What to check? You should check the data quality, completeness, and relation with your research work. Type of work. Type of words means the concrete words and abstract words that can be feel and seen, that are called as concrete words. Abstract words that cannot be directly experienced, ideological, etc. So now this is the important part for the secondary data collection, that is how you should prepare the data collection list from the work that you have done. So over here I have shown a small table. This table is consisting of various columns. We will discuss all these columns one by one. You can see the first column is of date. The date of publication of that particular data. Then the second word is related to the keyword, which means that when you refer a particular research paper or a book or advertisement, what were the important highlighted words in it? You take out that word and write it. Third is database. What database is specified over there? You should know and you should write it. Database specification, on what basis it is written, what were the things considered. Citation of matter, again it is very important part, that how to check the creditability of a particular research literature. So how many times it has been cited, how many people referred it, to what extent the weightage is given to that particular research work. You should write the name of author. Now, as you know what are your hypotheses, and now after reading the particular research paper or maybe book, you even know what that author did. So from that particular paper, what benefit you are getting, you should write that part. Write down the limitation. Now there are two approaches for limitation. First approach, limitation of that particular researcher's work, what limitation he or she suggested for their own work. And second part is related to the limitation of the research review that you have done with compared to your own considered work. Again I will repeat, one limitation is the work done by the researcher and what limitation they told about their own paper, and second, limitation related to the utilization of research paper you have chosen with your own work. Next column is question unsolved. So before referring to particular topic, there are several questions in the mind that after going through that particular topic or the literature, you will be able to get the answer for these questions. So after reading the particular research article or research paper or book, what were the unsolved problems that you didn't got from that particular reviewing process? And then you need to form the new keywords which are still pending, which you want to search, and then the next paper whatever you want to refer will be based on these new keywords. So this is a very precise table. This is very necessary for summarizing the review of your study. While conducting the literature review process, it is suggested that you should prepare such table, and for each reading of any article, any advertisement, any report, you should keep all this data ready, because after going through 50-60 literatures, it is not possible to remember everything what was given in the paper, and thus it is necessary to take out the gist out of it and check out its usefulness for our own research work. This particular format will help you to do the gap analysis. Gap analysis means the probable outcome you have decided and the work that has been done earlier by other researchers. So for that particular gap, your research work will now take effort to fill it and do new upgradation in the particular topic. So this is how we conduct the primary data collection and secondary data collection. Now in the next lecture, we will discuss some of these methods of data collection in detail, and we will stop over here. Thank you.